Hi, before jumping into today's podcast, I wanted to make two quick announcements. The first one is to let you know that most podcast listening apps only show the most recent 100 episodes of a podcast. So if you haven't been listening to the Etsy Conversations podcast from the very beginning, you probably are missing the previous episodes prior to what you see in your podcast listening app. To date, I've recorded just under 300. By the time you hear this, it will probably be over 300 podcast episodes. Not all of them have episode numbers, which is why you'll see them in the 250 to 260 range by the time you hear this. But if you would like to go and listen to previous podcast episodes that don't show up in your podcast listening app, they are all available at my website, which is convome.com. And if you go to the podcast episodes tab, all the archives of every podcast I've done are on there dating back to 2012. Also, if you would like to support the podcast, you can do so by going to convome.com/support, or if you're at convome.com already, just click on the support the podcast tab to get more information about how you can do that.
Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for another episode. This week, my guest is Carly, and she runs the Etsy shop Pendant store, and she's been selling on Etsy, through this store since 2016. And one of the things we're going to talk about is her journey on Etsy. This is her third Etsy shop. And before we jump right into all that, Carly, welcome to the podcast and thank you for being my guest.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am very, very excited to be here today.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you. Now, before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So my name's Carly, and I make personalized photo jewelry and gifts on Pendant store on Etsy. This is my third Etsy shop. I had one opened in 2013, and I believe the second one was 2015. And I started making photo jewelry after my mom had given me a class for charm bracelet making at the local bead shop. And while I was there, I was pretty good at it, which was cool. But they had this One Direction photo pendant at the checkout next to all of these special occasion charms for the charm bracelets. And I thought, oh my God, how cool would that be to make picture pendants for people and maybe, conjoin it with the different occasions throughout the year. And that's kind of how it started. I started researching, and I made them for Christmas for everybody that year. And, the waterworks and the shocked faces really got me to be like, wow, this is something cool. This is meaningful. This is a great gift for anybody. So I started to go on Etsy and, now I'm here.
So is absolutely everything you make personalized?
Yes. I did at one point try and do astrology pendants, and I might go back to doing more of those collections that have pre-made pendants. But right now, I really want to focus on just the personalized items before going back into that, because I honestly didn't sell a single thing when I went in the opposite direction of pre-made things. So
okay.
I might revisit that.
It's interesting because I was reading an Etsy article, this was a while ago, and one of the things that they said to help increase your sales was to personalize what you sell in some way to the buyer, or offer some form of personalization. How does the sales process look like for you, since with each sale that you get, you have to communicate with a customer about something, or there needs to be, or I assume there might need to be an additional level of communication and exchange of information, like a picture or a name or dates.
Yeah. So I think that's a huge benefit to my business, because it it gets an in into creating a customer relationship, which is so important to building any business. And that's what gets people to come back as well, is because it does open the door to have a conversation, even just a mini one. Like, they will send me their picture, and on each listing, I have one of those 10 picture slots with directions on how to send me your picture, which is super easy. You just send me a conversation and you have the picture attached, and there's a little camera icon or a very clear direction that says attach image. And then I send them back a message right away, and I say, oh my God, that's a great picture. Give me a moment and I'll send you a sample of what it'll look like. And they're like, oh my God, wow, you're so fast. Thank you. That's perfect. They love seeing the sample too. And if it doesn't work, of course, we find another photo. But sometimes in having the photo sent to me, they'll tell me the story too. This is a picture of my cat. We got her last year. We absolutely love her. So I wanted to get my husband these cufflinks for our wedding with that photo on it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. What's your cat's name? You know, and we have a little mini conversation, and we kind of go back and forth, and I get to know people. You know, we don't have like this long-winded conversation, but, you know,
just enough to know a bit more.
Yeah, you get this sort of like friendly closeness. It's like you're talking to your friend.
Yeah.
And people love to buy from people who they feel like are their friend, and they really are my friends. I love them. There's a lot of repeat customers who come back and are like, oh my God, hey Jan, how are you? How's your cat? How's little William? And
nice.
And that's the part of it I love the most, is having a relationship. It's not just I'm buying something, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
It's like I know what your name is, I know something about you, and it's just so beneficial, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And like you said, just having that connection where you know a bit more about the person and you can have more than just a surface. I mean, it's not too deep, but it's more than just a commercial transaction. Encourages them to come back to you and feel like they know the person who's making whatever it is that they ordered. And I just want to quickly say, for anyone who doesn't know what One Direction is, that Carly mentioned earlier, it's a musical group, very popular right now. And Google them. I know you've heard their songs. They're all over.
You had to.
Yeah. So, Carly, Pendant Place Store is your third Etsy shop. What happened with the first two?
So, So the first one, I had a friend who saw a bracelet I had made of breakfast at Tiffany's. I made it like Tiffany's blue, and I had a little picture of Audrey Hepburn, and it was really cute. And they're like, oh, you should maybe sell this on Etsy. So let me go see what that is. I'm like, this seems cool. Let me try it. And I am part of the 1984 and F millennial generation, where we are extremely impatient and entitled until you learn that that's what the problem is, and you have to learn coping skills and, maturity skills to go past that. And I just was like, this is overwhelming. I just want to make money, and I want to just have my own business and be super cool, and I'm the best entrepreneur ever, and it's just not how it is. There's a lot more work involved. So I just shut the shop, and I'm like, okay, this is not working. This looks like garbage in comparison to other people. And then I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I'm going to try again, and I have a better name. And it was called Charmspiration, which is cool.
That's
and
not bad.
It wasn't bad. It was cool. And, I even opened a little like craft shop in this craft fair environment. And it didn't do well because there were certain things I had to rearrange, like, bracelet sizing and, just the product itself. And at that time I was doing a lot of Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn type of pendants, and it just wasn't something that was popular. it was really a trial type of shop, like even more so than the first one because I had learned a little bit more, but I was still an impatient millennial that felt entitled and and shut it down. And then for my third one, life started to change a little bit, and I'm not going to say names or anything like that because it's their personal things, but we were in a situation where I had to move out of my house, and we were all my mom decided to sell her house, so we all decided to go our separate ways. And I was like, I have my associate's degree. I'm just driving kids to school in the morning. I do not have money to move out of my house, and I didn't have any time. So I said, I really have to figure out life. I have to figure out what I'm going to do, to support myself. So, I got a job at a restaurant, and, I had my dog walking job as well. And the driving the kids to school obviously ended because the school year ended. And I had 3 months to find a place, and I did. And I said, you know what? I need to find something that I really want to do. Mm-hmm. And what I really want to do is my jewelry. I want to own a business. So I was like, this time it is happening. Okay. And so I really decided to, again, really invest in learning those millennial issue coping skills and learn that I'm not entitled. Things take a lot of time. You have to work hard, and just because you work hard one day or all week long does not mean that the following week you're going to get an overload of sales and your business is going to support you. Yeah. And I really learned those coping skills with patience and hard work, and now we're here 2 years later.
Carly, you have me cracking up with all your references to millennials, because that's kind of the general perception of millennials. Yeah.
It's worse. So, I'll just put it out there. And, it's not that bad. It's good that we're so determined, but we don't have patience because we grew up in the age of the internet where everything became so readily available. Yeah. And even outside of millennials, any generation is having a hard time right now because, you want to know something? Hey, Alexa, what year did you win the Cup? Bing, right there. When kids do their schoolwork today, I babysit for 2 kids, and one of them's a freshman, or not a freshman, a sophomore now. I'm like, oh, I had to read this book and I have a test tomorrow. And honestly, I was like, well, you can find the movie and buy it online right now. You can go look at other people's essays and study that way. And it's unfortunate, but it's also the age we live in is, that's the example of hard work, with millennials. You don't actually have to read the book. You can go read 100 other people's essays on it in one night, and
you
then
can listen to it,
watch it, read essays, read Spark Notes, all that stuff, and gain information in one day, where you don't have to put as much work in as you used to. Like a book would take a lot more time, and actually studying and writing something would take a lot more time than one night of just researching the topic. Various. It makes teachers' jobs way harder as well, because how can they tell if you actually did read it? They have to really, really get those questions. Really dig deep to find those those test questions that are going to prove if you actually read it.
Test your true knowledge.
Yeah. And that's just what we live in. We live in an instant gratification generation.
Yeah. And I think we're all falling prey to that. I won't say it's just a millennial problem, but with all the technology that we're surrounded by, eventually you get accustomed to certain things and to having access when you want access, and how you want to be able to access things. And so I think we all kind of develop some level of entitlement, to be honest. Yeah. 2016 rolls around, you open Pendant Place store. What did you do differently, and how did you approach it differently to ensure that this shop would be successful?
Well, I took a step back and I took a couple of weeks to sit down and organize all the information that I had learned thus far and actually write out some sort of a plan. And that allowed me to see the time frame, like when you're talking about coping with patients, to physically see like how much work had to be done.
Yeah.
At first, I felt like I'm choking. This is very overwhelming. This is never going to happen. Oh my God. And then I was like, wait, let's just take one step at a time and do what I have to do. And so one of the bigger things is Renee Christine. I am HTU bestie as of this year.
Oh, yay. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's so exciting. And just a quick side note on that. I have been wanting to be a bestie since basically besties became a thing. And every year I'm like, it's too much money. I can't do it. I don't know. And I will tell you, making that one decision and that investment, it changed the game for me in so many positive ways that I definitely recommend it for anybody who's contemplating that. Yes. And you do need an Etsy coach. And that Renee was my first one. Like, I went to freehandmadetraining.com and I actually sat and not just listened to the information, said, okay, let me think about all the things I'm going to do, and then just not do that. I'm going to get frustrated with myself. I'm going to actually write it down, be patient with myself, and do the steps that Renee tells you to do.
Yeah.
And any other, I think Gail and Charles Curry from eShop Marketer, I want to say is something. Yes. They were there in the beginning of that one as well. So I started following some of their trainings, and I just kind of, again, took everything one step at a time. With my photos, that was a big one. So I am so hard on myself about pictures. Like, I was the worst. I'm like, this sucks. I look terrible. But I'm like, you know what? If this is the best that I can do right now, that's okay, because I can just change the pictures in a month if I want to take a photo shoot, then the following month, and every single time they will get better. So it was also having the mindset of, this is the best I can do right now with what I have. Yep. And I have to be okay with that in order to grow this business, because if I'm not, then I'm just going to end up closing and it's never going to work. It's just going to fail every time. Yeah. You have to allow yourself to grow and know that you're not perfect, tomorrow. You have to give yourself time to get better.
I so agree. That's such an important point, is being patient with yourself and allowing yourself to grow, because I know some of us struggle with the frustration of having the end goal in mind and what we envision for what we want our shops and our businesses to look like. But the journey to get there is where we lose patience along the way, because from day one, you're not going to have everything in place, and you're going to be making iterations and corrections and fixing things or getting better equipment and learning how to do things better. So that's so important. And for anyone who doesn't know, HTU stands for Handmade Titan University. It's the program run by Renee Christine. I had her on the podcast earlier this year, right before it went live. She only opens the doors for 10 days each year, and it's in March. So let's see. That's the only time you can get in. And I will have a link to that. You can always get on the waiting list so that you get the notification when the doors are opening. And yes, it's not cheap, but it's worth it. And sometimes some things are just worth. I've seen it on the inside. I won't go into detail about all what you get, but it's very high quality. People, and it takes a lot of work. It's not one of those things that you can just lie on the couch and watch and things will happen. There's work to be done, but she tells you what to do every step of the way. You have plans and systems and all whatnot, and it's not easy. But if you put in the time and the effort, it could be worth it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like she adds so much value, and I think it's important to have a coach no matter what, because having somebody to be able to tell you like what exactly to do because they've done it before is amazing. And Renee, because I've done a couple different, little programs here and there, but nobody gives you as much value as Renee. Like Renee really does love you, and you really are her bestie.
And most of it is free. A lot of it is free. As in, if it takes you a while to decide to commit to the program, you're still going to learn a lot for free if you just watch her videos and what she puts out there. If you get on her mailing list too, sometimes I think people on the mailing list get some additional resources and training videos that you might not get just from following her YouTube channel. So that's one of the more helpful I would say Etsy community resources. Well, handmade business, not just Etsy.
Yeah, and she also, as a last note, she has a team of people that will also help you if she cannot. And that is, she's the only coach that I know has that, as far as my knowledge. So it's not only just her, she has a team of people to be there for you if she cannot herself.
Yeah. And then also Gail and Charles Curry, I had them on the podcast. Oh my goodness. It's been a while. I almost feel like I need to get them back on the podcast again, but I will link to their episode. It was back in 2016, episode 113. I will link to that. And I mentioned this before we started recording, but a lot of podcast apps don't show, they only show your most recent 100 podcast episodes. And I've recorded actually almost 300 episodes. So you're only seeing like a third of what's available. But if you go to convome.com and go to the podcast episodes tab, I have an archive of every single podcast I've recorded. And so I'll link to this one if you don't see it in your podcast listening app. I mean, to the one with Gail and Charles Curry, and also Renee's episode.
That's amazing. 300.
Yeah.
Go job.
Thanks.
Wow.
Now, one of the things that I know you're passionate about, which Etsy also harps on, but I think a lot of people gloss over it because it seems like a no-brainer, is customer service. Etsy recently came out with their ultimate guide to Etsy search, and one of the topics that they covered in depth was customer service. That's actually one of the things that they touched on to help in search. You have also found that customer service has helped grow your shop and grow your business. So can we just talk about just how important it is and how we as sellers can play our own part in not just growing our businesses through customer service, but also attracting more buyers to the Etsy platform because of what we are doing.
Absolutely. So we did talk about this before. I am a shopper on Etsy. Like this week, I already have like 3 purchases and it's Tuesday. So I am a very, very, very big believer in customer service. Guys, you got to answer people. You have to know you're there, because what we were talking about before is Etsy is such a unique space because you are buying from the person, as opposed to Amazon, where you might buy from a person and they ship it to you from them, or they send it to Amazon and Amazon ships it to you and deals with you, But Etsy is unique because you are buying from somebody, and it also can be a negative if that person isn't paying attention, isn't answering you. They're just in the beginning of stages of their business, so maybe they kind of like forgot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you finally hear that cha-ching, but like they're out somewhere and they just didn't check it for like 3 days. Like you have to, when one person has a bad experience, I think the statistic is if you have one bad experience, you're going to tell 10 people. But if you have a good experience, you're also going to tell 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
And those 10 people, if the story's good enough or the product's good enough or the service, those 10 people you tell are going to be telling some of their friends, like 4 to 5 people, maybe 2 to 5 people. I don't know what the exact statistic is, but when you offer good customer service to someone on Etsy where you get their stuff on time, you answer their messages, you provide the product that you very clearly in photos and description have, and you provide them with that exact thing, then they're going to tell other people, and you're helping Etsy grow, because that person might be like, oh, Etsy, what's Etsy?
Yeah.
And that's going on, and then they're going to tell somebody, and that person's going to go on, and that person's going to go on, and it's going to cause a snowball effect. But if they have a bad experience, and that's the fear with Etsy, when you're buying from a single person, it's not a good look for anybody. It hurts everybody. So you have to, whether it's something that you want to grow into a big business that supports you, or it's something that you're just doing as a hobby, I please urge everybody to take it seriously, because at the end of the day, regardless of which direction you want to go in, you are still a business. You are still selling something on this ginormous platform that affects everybody else.
Yeah. So over the years that you've sold on Etsy, how have you, if you've had the opportunity to, handled either a negative review or an unhappy customer or an unsatisfied customer?
I will always remember this one. Can't forget her. It was during the holidays, and I had sent her long distance boyfriend a keychain, and it was in the very beginning of me learning, my craft, and something had happened in translation where he knocked it into something and the photo popped out. Now, just as a disclaimer, that does not happen. All of my stuff is updated, and we have very strong products now, and everything is fine. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I get a notification for a review. It's like 1 star, and she went off. Like, this girl went off, and I was like, oh my God, hold the phone. Hold the phone. Here again, with customer service, I have my phone in my hand. I get the notification, and immediately I see it, so immediately I can fix it. Had I sent a message back to her 5 hours later, I don't know if that was fixable. Yeah. But immediately, I sent a message, said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I will send out a new one. I will send it out priority, and it will be there in 4 days. And then she sent me back a message. Oh, I'm really sorry. Thank you so much. I was just having a moment. Like a moment. It was a pretty big moment you had there, but I didn't say that, as a seller, you feel that way, but it's not about me. Yes. Like, nothing is about you. And if you make anything about you, then you're going to fail every time. And I hate to say that so harshly, but it's true. If you let your emotions run your business as opposed to, putting your business pants on and putting that aside, and go from that perspective, you're just going to lose every single time. You have to give yourself a second. It's just like if you have a flat tire and you had a really important meeting to go to. The thing is, the flat tire happened. If you're going to sit there and cry and freak out and say, I can't believe this is happening to me, then nothing's going to change. Like, it's not going to change. Instead of doing that, you can say, wow, this is a really crappy situation. What do I have to do right now? What are my options? I have to call the person at the meeting and tell them this happened. I have to call an Uber maybe and have somebody come to my car. I have to call AAA. That's the only things that you can do. But freaking out and reacting and saying, oh, I could have said, oh my God, this girl is crazy. Oh my God, like whatever. Yeah. But I did that. I said, hold on a second. I'll send you a new one. No problem. I'm really sorry. And that counts for something. It means something.
It does. And not just the response that you gave, but also the timing of your response, because I know I've had situations where something happened and I wasn't happy. And I mean, I don't know how badly she went off, but
Yeah.
I've expressed my discontent. And I'm thinking of a specific situation that happened. Literally, this was last week. It had to do with my website host, and I was having a problem with the website. And so I contacted customer service, and they gave me a very flippant answer, and the person didn't really know what they were talking about and gave me some wrong information. So I was kind of irritated because I had a problem. And so at the end of the session, I got an email to review the session.
Oh.
And I went off because I was like, well, I'm not happy because this is what happened. And I tell you, within about 15 minutes, I got an email from the director of customer service, and he said, I'm so sorry, that was wrong. I'm going to make it right. And then I felt all embarrassed because I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off. I was just not happy. I was just frustrated. And he was like, no, it's okay. What they told you was indeed incorrect. And we need to fix that on our end. So I was kind of embarrassed because I wasn't expecting anybody to respond so quickly. So timing too makes a difference, because if they had waited like 2 days, I don't know that I would have felt as remorseful about my reaction as I did because they responded so quickly to my reaction.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. Like, if you get that response right away and you have somebody saying, oh my God, let's fix this, it makes you feel better. Because when the initial issue happens, we're humans.
Yeah.
And also going back to instant gratification thing, when something happens that's negative, we just automatically we almost get sucked into the hole,
Yeah.
and it's very hard to get out of the hole.
Yes.
It's like quicksand. You can't stop yourself. No matter how much yoga you do, if something really, really happens to piss you off to a certain extent, there's just no stopping it. And the only way that you can calm it down is to be there for that person and immediately correct the situation, because that's all you can do. You can't do anything else than that. And I told you the story where for a new collection coming out, this one seller had the only item that I needed, exactly the way I needed it. And she sent me the item. There was one piece missing. So I messaged her, and I didn't get a message, like you said, till like 5 hours later. So I might wait for like a couple hours.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I need this for, very soon. And I explained to her, she goes, oh my God, I'm really sorry. I'll send you a new one. A week goes by. I have no tracking information. And I'm like, okay, well, I originally got this within 4 days, so why is this taking this long? She must have not sent it. And I sent her a message, and she goes, oh, I did send it to you. I'm like, okay, let me check my mailbox. And there was just a regular, mail envelope with like handwritten the name. I'm like, okay. And I opened it, and there was nothing in it. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, how did this even happen? I just can't comprehend the whole situation. And mind you, this is a seller who has like 800 sales or something, and like really great raving reviews after review. And it just made no sense to me. So that goes to show you, like, even with somebody who seems very trusting on the platform I mean, you said maybe she had an off day. That was like an off month. Like, I don't understand how you forget to put the product in the envelope. Like, the envelope is empty. You can feel it when you hand it to the postman. It's empty.
I was stretching. I was just hoping.
Yeah, I was just like, I still to this day can't understand that. But instead of like completely bashing the person, I just, just to let it go. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that item. If I'm going to do a limited edition and just not carry it anymore. Because like I don't want to buy from her ever again because it was such an awful experience. But that goes to show you what we're talking about with customer service. Like, now of course I'm still going to buy on Etsy again, but if that was my first experience on Etsy, my first few, I'm going to be a little afraid to buy anything from anybody for a little while. But because I'm a regular shopper on Etsy, it's just one bad experience for me and I'm still buying stuff. But for that person who doesn't generally go on Etsy often, and they have that bad of an experience, it's going to be a little tough to get that business back on the platform. So we all have to be there for each other and ourselves,
Yeah. And one thing to think about too when it comes to customer service is, I don't know if you or anyone else who might be listening has noticed this, but I've started seeing ads for Etsy on TV, which they never had before. And I think they're gearing up to start advertising the platform more, which means I'm assuming there will probably be more first-time Etsy shoppers. So the chances that a sale you get might be from someone who is making their first purchase on the platform ever is probably going to be higher now that Etsy isn't just what's the word I'm looking for? Something that just some people know about or hear about word of mouth, around the handmade community, or, the people who knew of Etsy from other people. Now that they have ads on TV, which they had said once they increased the transaction fees and some other things, that they were going to use the money for. So they are using the money for ads. So there'll be a lot more first-time shoppers on Etsy. And so it makes sense that we should probably just treat everyone like it's their first time and we want them to just keep coming back.
Absolutely. And, you said something about the commercials. Mm-hmm. I swear, if I could have 5 to 10 minutes with Josh Silverman to talk to him about marketing and my ideas, I would love that opportunity. Because here's the thing with commercials and television. That's the worst ad space you can go in right now. And that sounds very harsh, but here's the reason why. If you're spending money on television commercials, it's a wrong place to be, because that's not where the people are. Because we have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Amazon. People generally have the television to see like Super Bowl, and they have it for like the news and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But people really, there's a huge decline happening in television right now. And by the time the commercials come on, the first thing you're doing is grabbing your phone and you're looking through your social media or your emails or something. You are not paying attention to the commercials unless it is, again, the Super Bowl. So, Josh, my little advice there is to go in the direction of where the people are, and the people are on Facebook and they're on Instagram right now. Okay. And that's where the cheapest advertising is. Just like with Google AdWords, when they first came out, they were very, very affordable, and you could really get the traffic and the business to your website through that. But now they are pretty expensive in comparison. Like for $5, you could make 100 from an Etsy ad. I think what would be most beneficial to Etsy, just to throw one idea out there, first of all, a square video. You want something that's a square video that goes into the news feed specifically. And I think Etsy should focus on what makes them different as an e-commerce website, and that is the handmade experience. Before the chat, we were talking about an ad idea that I just thought of was, you're in your new home, you love your new home, you're decorating it, it's great, and your friend Sally comes over, and she's like, oh my God, I love that vase, I have it too. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, that sucks. Like, I want to be unique. Whereas opposed to Sally comes over to your house and she's like, oh my God, where did you get that vase? That is so cool looking. Oh, well, I got it from a handmade artisan in Brooklyn off of Etsy. And you can't get it because it's only one. You know what I mean? Or not even you can't get it, but it's something that you have that's unique. And is only for you and it's specifically handmade. And even if Sally got the same vase, it's going to be a little different because it is handmade. So that would be a great ad idea to focus on. Why do you want to shop at Etsy as opposed to Pier 1 or Amazon? Because Sally's not going to have the same thing as you. You're going to be unique. And people today, when we're talking about, what's going on in the world today, everybody wants to be unique and everybody wants to be different and everybody wants to be cool, in their own way, in their own uniqueness. And Etsy is such a great platform to add that quality to their lifestyle and to be that cool, different person, like with the cool, different vase in their living room that's handmade from this artisan in Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And if we blasted that through Facebook, when you do a Facebook ad, you can go into, I'm going to look for it, Audience Insight, and you can put Etsy in there, like in interests. And then it'll come with all sorts of statistics. Is it a male or females looking at this? What's their age group? Where do they live? What else are they interested in? Under a tab that says page likes. And you can go in and you can see what other things that people in that demographic are liking. Click on those pages and see if they actually apply to what you think your demographics would be. And then you can utilize that information when you're creating an ad in a little tab that says interest, and you can add those exact pages or subjects. So Etsy can essentially, let's use the vase example, right? They can do an ad campaign. Let's say they did that square video of the woman, and her friend coming over. They could specifically target people who like Pier 1 imports, who like home goods, who like, other home decor places like what is it, Williams-Sonoma Home, or what's that?
Cost Plus World Market.
Yes, or West Elm.
West Elm,
like that. And they can specifically target that. And then underneath that, when they're creating the ad, when it says narrow it down, you can actually narrow it down to something called typing in engaged shoppers. So now you're even targeting it even further to people who have shopped at those places in the past, month to 6 weeks.
And Facebook would know this?
Facebook knows this. A lot of people, so with Facebook, a lot of people had disregarded Facebook because of the whole Cambridge Analytica scandal that happened. So a lot of people were like very nervous about Facebook and they don't know what to do. But here's the thing. When you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have Pinterest, you have all these different social media accounts. The only one that sticks out to me that people of all ages are on and comfortable with more so than anything else is Facebook, even after the Cambridge Analytica. Like maybe after that happened, there were some people who were like, boycott Facebook. But at the end of the day, it still is the number one platform where people of all ages and demographics are. So you can absolutely do that. And I can even tell you how you do that. So you go to your ads manager, you go to all tools, and then you're going to go to Audience Insight. And it's going to ask you this question. You just click everybody on Facebook. And in interests, when you're looking at the ads, you can type in, like I said, if it's something for furniture or home decor, you can type in West Elm. And what that'll do is it will take you, I'm actually going to do it live here.
Okay, so someone listening can actually follow as you're walking through the steps.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see if I can, hold on. Sorry.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I will just say a couple of things. One is if Josh Silverman is listening to this podcast, my goodness. Wow. But I do hope, that somebody, listens and takes into consideration what you're saying, because yes, the nature of Etsy is what sets it apart, and leveraging that is what I think is going to really drive the platform to grow. And with regard to your comment about TV not being where they should be spending their ad money, after you mentioned it, I thought about it and I was thinking, well, how did I see it if TV isn't where they should be spending their ad money? And I realized, most of the time, if I'm watching TV, I'm watching shows that I've recorded. I don't typically sit down and just watch live TV because I like to spend my time like, I have things to do. And so I'll record the shows that I want to watch. And then if I'm not streaming like on Amazon Prime or Netflix, if it's something that was on TV, I'll sit down and watch that show. And typically, you're right. As soon as the commercials come on, I reach for the remote and I will just fast forward past them. And I think I might have been in the kitchen cooking or something or talking with someone and then happened to glance and saw the commercial on TV and thought, wow, that's an Etsy commercial. But yes, now that I think about it, I wonder how many people are missing that because they're picking up their phone during the commercials or they're fast forwarding something they've recorded because of the commercials.
Yeah, or that's when you go in like, oh, okay, I need to go to the bathroom now.
Yeah.
Because the show, or something like that. People are not sitting there being like, ooh, I wonder what the commercial is going to tell me. Because people already know that commercials are trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
And people are going to be sold something. They, brand trust and company trust is what gets you business. It's not just saying, oh, something's on sale this week.
Yeah.
It's saying, get something unique from somebody who actually hand makes this and you add to their life.
Yeah.
To their quality of life by supporting them,
Yeah.
So I went on to Audience Insights in the Facebook Ads Manager, and under Interest, which is in the left-hand column, I typed in West Elm. And just to give you an idea, under demographics, it's already telling me that there are 95% of women that are interested in that, and 5% men. So you're going to want to do an ad that's geared towards women. Okay. And it's telling me here that 39% of that 95% is between the ages of 25 and 34. Okay. And 28% is between the ages of 35 and 44. So you might want to just pick the 25 to 34, or you might want to do 25 to 44, and then win. 33% of them are married. 66% are married. And 68% also went to college and have a 4-year degree.
My goodness. Wow. Okay.
It'll even tell you their job titles. So this is pretty interesting. 32% of that 92% are in a management role in their job.
So these are people with money.
These are people with money. And then you go into page likes, and it has 10 different things here. The first one is furniture as a category. So it gives you a category that they're interested in. And then next to it says CB2. I don't know what that is. I'm going to open it.
Oh, I know what that is. That's a spin-off store for Crate and Barrel.
Okay. So you might want to target to people who are also interested in CB2. And then it says IKEA. And then the other categories, and the categories can also be used in interests. It's furniture, home decor, personal blog. I don't think you'd want to target to that. Sunglasses and eyewear, definitely not something you want to target to if you're selling pottery. Household supplies, not really. But there are some really good things in there. And then you're going into location. This is really interesting. So the top city is Manhattan, New York State's 133% compared, and then Minneapolis. So when you're doing an ad, you might want to target an audience that lives specifically in Manhattan. Also, when you're creating your ad, there's a spot that says location, and when you type in your location, even if it's just United States abroad, you want to go down that tab and you want to select people who live here, because people could be visiting from states or from different countries, and generally people are not shopping online, unless they're home. People are on vacation, they're going to be vacation shopping. They're not going to be doing that. And then it says like, there's frequency of activities. So it'll tell you device users. 100% of people are using the desktop only in the past 30 days. That's pretty impressive. So they're not even on the mobile app. So that is really super interesting.
So that must mean, I would take that to mean, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I would take that to mean that those are people who are ready to buy.
Right.
If they're on a desktop as opposed to mobile. Not that you can't buy from your mobile device, but if you're on a desktop, I just picture you, just ready to make that sale and, see everything in full, on a big screen and, well, anyway, go on.
No, and that's true. And then it also says next to that, like where, and it does say 77% on the iPhone or an iPad, which means that they're going to the desktop website. They're going to the actual websites. They're not going to apps. They're not people who are using apps. So that's super interesting. So when you're creating an ad, where are my notes here? Let's see. You're going to do a post-engagement campaign. And the reason why you can't do a conversion campaign right now is because Etsy doesn't give you a Facebook pixel. That's actually in beta. If you go on your Etsy account, you're going to see a little thing that says Facebook beta, and you're not testing it. So this is information. Again, hi, Josh Silverman. I know you guys are obviously taking note to this because it's something that they're trying to work on for Etsy sellers to be able to do their own Facebook ads. Because when you have a pixel, what happens there is that connects to Facebook so that all that information I just read to you, you're going to have it for your specific website. So that when you're creating those ads, you can really, really, really target your market, the people who are going to your website, which is going to be really, really cool.
So does one have to go to the apps within their Etsy account in order to get the Facebook, well, at least in beta, the pixel? Is that where we would go to grab that?
So I'm logging onto my my Etsy right now. Under marketing. Okay, so when you click the marketing tab, it says Facebook ads, and it has a little tag.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And they actually are not giving you a pixel yet. They're just trying to let you know that this is something we're working on right now. So they are putting some of their dollars into that, which is really important. However, like you said, you saw a commercial of Etsy on the television, but I really haven't seen anything from Facebook. I haven't seen any advertising campaigns. But it's definitely the place they need to be, because the thing is, okay, so you're going to go into a post-engagement ad, and that's what you're going to select when you're making your ad. Your location, you can use any of that information we just went over in searching things that are similar to your products. The detailed targeting, you can put in those similar shops or pages that people liked. You want to add about 4 suggestions because Facebook. Let me get my mind. My mind's erasing.
And Carly, while you're looking that up, all this we're doing in our Facebook account. We're not doing this yet in Etsy. Etsy, to create the Facebook ad, that particular feature is not yet live in Etsy, or is it?
It's not. And shout out to Etsy if you want to have me be a beta tester. I'd be happy to do so.
Well, there's a group you can join for. Yes, and once you while you're doing that, I'll look it up. It's a for when they're testing new products and testing new tools and all whatnot. There's a group you can join. Everyone doesn't always get picked to test everything, but if you're a part of that, it's a team, rather not a group, but if you're a part of that team, you might get selected to help test drive some of the things that they're doing.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'll look that up so I can share that.
All right, so we're going into creating an ad campaign. It's just loading. So you didn't name your campaign. You can just name it like test or something like that. You're going to create a new ad, test, and you're going to go into the objective, and you can do awareness or consideration. You can kind of do anything that you're interested in. I like to do the consideration engagement and post engagement. And when you're going to location, again, you're going to want to you can pick the whole United States, but I have found it very beneficial to either utilize the stats from similar items, like things remembered would be one for me. Like looking at their stats and who's in their location. Or sometimes I take people that I know have been shopping from me, like Texas. I ran an ad campaign was specifically for people in Texas, and I definitely got some sales from that because for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but people in Texas like to buy my items. So I love targeting to the state as a whole. And when you're doing the detailed targeting and putting in those similar shops or similar companies that you think your customers would be, or who were under those page likes when you were looking up the information, you can also go into click suggestions under there, and Facebook will also give you some suggestions of things that might be of similar interest. It'll give you a little bar that'll tell you, okay, your audience size is good or your audience size is way too broad, but you generally want to be under about 500,000 people if you can. That's really the maximum amount of people that you want to be targeting.
Is there a minimum?
I don't think there's a minimum, but Facebook will definitely tell you. They'll say this is way too narrow. You're really not going to reach a lot of people, and you are most likely going to waste your money. Because the thing with Facebook is Facebook does want to help you. And that's why they have ads. Like a lot of people complained and they were like, oh my God, you have to pay to grow your Facebook now. Okay, but also Facebook is creating such a great opportunity right now for marketers because marketing is so blurred right now because all the old tactics aren't working anymore. And there needs to be a new place for people to be able to market, and Facebook is kind of taking the bull by the horns there and allowing people to do that for a very, very small amount of money in comparison to Google ads. Yeah. So don't write them off. Take $5. That's my suggestions. Take $5 and do an ad and see what happens.
And is that $5 a day, right?
$5 a day. So you can even do 3 days.
Okay.
3 days. That's good. Go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, I starred this with so many big stars. You want to narrow it down again. I'm going to say it again, to engaged shoppers. Okay. That's going to make a world of difference because then you're narrowing down your target to people who have shopped these interests or these places that are similar to your products in the last 30 days to 6 weeks. So you're having people who are actively shopping. You're not just sending it out to Sally who looks around at things and never buys it. You know what I mean? Again with Sally.
I know.
And then, let's see. Don't check expand interest. That's another one. That's a big star. Do not check that box because when you check expand interest, then you're telling Facebook that you also want to target people who are not interested in everything you just put in. So what a waste.
Yeah.
Then what did you do all that work for? And then this last part, edit placement. So you want to only check the boxes that say Facebook and Instagram and only Facebook feeds and articles and an Instagram feed. You want to be in the feeds. So there's different places where you can place your ad on Facebook, but that's where you want to be. And then you set your budget to $5 a day. And then from there you create different ad sets and you see what works. And then you can keep adding the budget. The more that you see it's returning for you, you can increase it because obviously that's something that works for your products.
Carly, did you learn all this by trial and error, or how do you know all this stuff?
I do a significant amount of research on the current state of business and marketing. And from there, I've been hearing over and over again that Facebook and Instagram is where people are at, and that companies are wasting so much money advertising anywhere else. And I was like, I have to learn this. Like, I have to learn that. So I just started Googling, YouTubing, and learning. Again, trial and error. You want to the reason why you have all these different ad sets, so you can compare the analytics to each other and see which one is bringing you in the revenue, which is why we so badly need that pixel to be available.
Okay.
That's the best source of information. So that's Facebook. That's the whole on Facebook ads. You want to do square videos if you're doing a video. You can also do a carousel ad, because I know a lot of people like the carousel thing that's going on Etsy as well. So you can have a scrollable 2 to 10 images or videos together on the sidebar, so people can like click through and then click on one specific item.
And that's on the Facebook sidebar?
You can do it on the sidebar, or you can do it in the feed, wherever you choose to put your ad.
Okay.
But I definitely recommend the feed. Just think about when you're on Facebook. Are you looking at the side?
No, actually, I'm not.
No, you click on the feed. And the image size in general is going to be a 1280 by 720 pixels, or 1200 by 628, depending on which type of ad you're going to go with. But that's all stuff that you can just easily Google. It'll come up right away. But a single image ad is 1200 by 628 pixels.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned making sure we show up in the Instagram feed. Is the only way to set up an Instagram ad is to do it through setting up the ad in Facebook, because they're now they're now one organization?
No. So the unique thing is, with Instagram, when you put a post and they say as a business profile only, though, just to make that clear, you can boost a post and all of your ad sets will be saved. So you just kind of go boost post, click your ad set, and put your budget, and then it just goes. Okay. But you really want to be setting these up in Facebook more so than Instagram, because there's so much more available to research from there, and there's so much more you can customize for it. But if you have an Instagram post and you think it's really great, and you just want to send that out to the same ad set that you just created, just click on boost post and it'll just walk you through it step by step.
Okay. Wow. I feel like you should turn this into a PDF and make it available to people. I mean, for sale, you can do it for free if you want to, but I think it's so valuable, because going through, I know I've done Facebook ads before, and some of the things you mentioned, I remember not even knowing what they meant. And then, having to go into a different browser and start to research, okay, what does this mean? Do I want to pick this? Do I want to select this option or that option? But you've just explained some of that stuff. Like I didn't, with the engaged audience, I was like, well, I didn't understand what type of engagement they were referring to. I just wanted to know, do I want this or don't I want this? And just knowing, yes, that's what you want, move on. Whereas I got bogged down in details and trying to understand everything. And I know that threw me off from really setting up an effective Facebook ad, was because I was just confused.
Right, and I apologize if it was a little botchy. My notes are a little
No.
Like stars. I'm like, this is really important. This is really important. And yes, Facebook can be very confusing. But again, it's the place to be right now in marketing. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to educate yourself and not just write it off because it's confusing or a little scary. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? And I did the same thing. I was like, what? Facebook wants money from me? Please get out of here. I'm not doing that. And then I was like, well, actually, there's not really too many marketing options that are working right now. So for $5, $20, why not try it and see what happens?
Yeah.
It goes back to the thing of what changed with my shop this year, or this shop rather than the others, is in starting to invest in my business and play around with the extra funds that I had, because that's just how you're going to grow. You can't be afraid to spend money. You can't expect to not spend any money at all and just get sales. It's just not the nature of growing a successful business. It's just not. And that's something that we all have to push past if you really, really, truly want to make it a full-time income. But it's so important, the making sure that the people are people who live in the location. That's a very important one.
Yeah.
And you have to hand type engaged shoppers when you narrow it down.
Okay.
That is so important.
And that's something I didn't know. And I'm pretty sure I didn't do that.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just sending it out to people who are interested in that, but it doesn't mean that they buy that,
Which makes sense. So is all the social media that you do very targeted like this? More, do you focus more on the paid side of social media as opposed to the, I guess, the more organic, just free side where whatever happens, happens? Or do you tend to just stay focused on paid social media options?
For right now, Facebook paid because, and only Facebook paid, because right now it's very cheap and it's not always going to be that way. So you have to take it while it's here. And with Instagram, my strategy there, and it's been working very well. What I do is whenever I have time, I take a hashtag that I've used on my Instagram photo, like Etsy finds. I click on it. I go to the top posts and I comment on the first 10, and I don't just comment like an emoji and like, oh my God, nice. I actually I take the second to read what they wrote, and then I respond to that, or I say something like, wow, those are really beautiful necklaces. I need one of these in my life. Yeah. And that takes me like 5 minutes. Or you can even go into recent. And I try and do that at least 10 times a day. And then all of a sudden, Instagram likes are growing on one picture for me from like 12 to 50 in a week, which is pretty impressive. Wow. And sometimes for the most part, the average is I'll do that like 3 times a day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just comment on 10 things. And that's also what Twitter is doing right now. If you do that, the same thing for Twitter, your followers will grow. And with Pinterest, I do know, Tailwind is what I've been hearing about Pinterest. Tailwind is the thing that you need. Jennifer Priest from Smart Creative Social. She has some great podcast interviews out there, most recently on Social Media Examiner, where she went through this whole big thing on Pinterest, and I learned so much, so definitely check that out. It's amazing. And she was saying with Pinterest, the photos have a 2-to-3 ratio. She was saying to use keywords in your description and up to 5 hashtags. She said, write for the consumer and write for the system. So with your keywords, you're writing for the consumer, and with your hashtags, you're writing for the system to be able to find you. Okay.
And this is on Pinterest?
And this is on Pinterest. Okay. This is tips that I got from Jennifer Priest from Smart Creative Social. And she was trying to say with boards, like I'm pretty sure she used the example of chicken tacos. Right? Then you're going to want to create a board that's like 5-minute recipes, or sorry, 5 minutes. That's pretty quick to make those.
It's a microwave.
Recipes, chicken recipes, Mexican recipes, party night recipes, quick, chicken in general, like create boards that are similar. So, I picked hamburgers, and I said hamburgers, quick dinners, meat meals, backyard barbecue, and burger recipes. So that kind of makes everything come together, and you're also having things that are very similar so that Pinterest can understand what you're all about, so they know who sent you.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And this is just regular basic pinning. This is not anything yet to do with promotional pins, right?
No, not as far as I know. With Pinterest, I am signed up for Pinterest Academy with Renee Christine, and that's something that's in my next steps that I want to be doing. I really want to get through that course next because I hear Pinterest is just the place to be also for an Etsy seller, and I really want to be there. And I do have quite a number of views, and I have notification. It says I have 1.7K monthly viewers. I don't even know if that's a lot because I'm not super into Pinterest yet. Is that a lot? It is a lot.
I don't know. I keep saying every time Pinterest comes up, I keep saying I'm going to learn Pinterest. I'm going to be good at Pinterest, and I haven't really yet sat down to learn it as well as I should. But I will tell you, Pinterest drives a lot of traffic to convome.com and is the only social media platform that also sends traffic to my Etsy shop. And all I've done with Pinterest and my Etsy shop is with each listing I create, I click that Pinterest button to add it to one of my boards. So far, that's all I've done. And Pinterest continues till today. Listings that I created, I don't even know how long ago, till today, Pinterest continues to send traffic to my shop. And then to the website, I know it's been, and this is so sad to say, probably pins I created over 2 years ago. Till today, I will look in the stats for my website, and Pinterest is right under Google for organic traffic, and I do nothing. So there is gold in Pinterest. I wish I had the time to mine it. I wish I could pay somebody to mine it for me, because I know that there is, and I'm not with as little as I do. It's giving me so much already. So I can only imagine if I were to actually focus.
Yeah, I mean, check out Jennifer Priest too. Like, Renee has Pinterest Academy, and Jennifer Priest has something for Pinterest, and she seems to really know what she's talking about. I'm looking at my Pinterest right now, and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. very clear bar of what I'm all about.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's a pretty smart engine too.
Yeah.
Even with just basic information, I think it's pretty smart. Oh, before I forget, what I wanted to mention was the Etsy teams. If you go to the Etsy team page and you type in prototype, so they have different prototype teams that you can join. Some are by invitation only, so you will have to put in an application, and one of the Etsy admins would review it and then let you in. But they have prototype teams for different tools that they are creating or testing or want feedback on.
I would love to be on the Facebook beta testing. That would be amazing. I'm going to definitely go to that.
Yeah, I think there's a general one for seller tools, and then there are more specific ones for like the shop manager or listing manager, things like that. But I think I don't yet see a Facebook prototype team, but who knows, because when they hone in on one, that might be when they break away and create a special prototype team for that one. So just keep your eye on the prototype teams.
Okay, definitely will do that, because I would really love that opportunity. And it's really good to know that Etsy does recognize that that's an important place to be in regards to marketing, if they are going to give us the upper hand. I want to say to have the pixel, because a lot of like Shopify, I don't want to say for sure, but I'm pretty positive that Shopify does not have that. And Shopify is another marketplace as well that has a lot of handmade things going on. Not as much, but we definitely want to be I think Etsy is going to continue to grow to be the leader in this type of e-commerce market of handmade. And I really think, like, even if they had a commercial that said, like, hi, let's do a different name than Sally. Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I make vases. Hi, I'm Jeffrey. And, like, he's, like, in his studio, you know, like, hammering away at something.
Yeah.
I make, you know, I don't know. I make fishing lures, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, showing, like, a mom, like, picking her kid up, and she's like, hi, I'm Janet, and I make necklaces. And then at the end of the video, you say, like, thank you for supporting my handmade business. And then it goes only on Etsy, you know?
Yeah.
Shop unique, shop handmade, shop Etsy. Boom. Not just, we have a Labor Day sale, 25% off. Woo!
Yes, I think that does take, I mean, I understand why they're doing it because it works for other platforms, but I think it does take a little bit of the soul of Etsy out of it when you just boil it down to, you know, Labor Day sale or Black Friday sale. Then people come with the mindset of, oh, you know, like, you know, Amazon type, okay, this is my day to really, really get, what's the bargain basement, you know, pricing on things I want to buy. Whereas you can't really expect bargain basement pricing on handmade products. I'll tell you somebody who did I think did a good job of expressing the uniqueness of Etsy, which I don't think got a lot of exposure, was what's the lady who was married to Tom Cruise?
Katie Holmes.
Yes. So, and I don't know, I think I read this in the dentist's office in a magazine or something when I was waiting. I was just flipping through and they showed pictures of her daughter, and apparently she buys her clothes from Etsy because she likes that they're unique and they're and that's exactly what she said. They're unique and they're handmade, and she can have them made, you know, for her sizing. And I don't for the life of me remember the Etsy store that she said that she buys them from, but I thought this is the type of exposure Etsy needs, is for, you know, people who are so commercialized to say, hey, look, I appreciate things that are unique, and I shop where I can buy things that are unique. That would do so much for Etsy.
Right, and we have so much freedom today to wear what we want and express ourselves in whichever way we want, and we all want to be unique. Mm-hmm. And so we don't want to have the same vase that our neighbor or best friend has. We want to have our own thing that we can almost like kind of boast about and be like, look how cool I am, look what I have.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's handmade. Somebody made this for me, you know, and on that, not just like, I think Etsy just really, really can grow so much bigger by focusing on who they are and what makes them different from any other site that you're going to go to. And we talked about this before, where when you buy something from Etsy, after the purchase, it says leave a review or report an issue after so-and-so date. Mm-hmm. I think if they moved that to the actual checkout point, that would also help them as well. Because again, there is another thing that's unique to Etsy is because it's a handmade seller and you're buying from someone, and not just a massive company, you know, if there's a problem, there's a problem. You know what I mean? You have to deal with one person, and it's not something Etsy can particularly have so much control over. So that can hurt them in a sense. But if they give them that customer trust and confidence and saying, hey, we know that we allow our businesses having other people sell and manage, you know, your whole process of buying from us. But if something happens, don't worry, we have your back.
Yeah. To say
before the purchase, not after the purchase.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you see it after, you're like, wait, there could be an issue, couldn't there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, wait a second, what did I just do?
Yeah. And Amazon does a good job of that, because almost everywhere you look, they're like, you know, buy with the confidence with our 30-day A to Z guarantee or what have you. You're like, oh, okay, I'll try it. I have a whole month to decide whether or not, you know, or to, you know, to see if there's a problem. And if there is, I have 30 days to to have, to fix it, or for them to make it right. And you're right,
Yeah.
Etsy doesn't really do that, even though
Yeah, like,
there are systems in place where we can make things right if something goes wrong.
right, it's up to a person. Like on Amazon, I've called them. I said, "Oh, I got these 3 fishing lures, and there's an eye missing on one of them." Okay, no problem. We'll refund you.
Yeah.
No need to return it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. What else can I buy from Amazon?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. Not because I want to return things, but because it's like
Yeah.
it's a complete secure confidence thing. And I think Etsy needs to evaluate what are the customer fears.
Yeah.
Not just let's grow this big company. What are the benefits of buying from Etsy as opposed to buying from anywhere else, which is the uniqueness and the handmade? How can they entrust that everything's going to be okay if they purchase from us? And what are the other customer fears or problems that they have in going to Etsy? And how can we make it very clear that they don't need to be a fear,
Mm-hmm.
And why are things maybe priced the way they are? Why we give our sellers the freedom to, to pick their pricing and their shipping based on their craft, because not because, we don't have control over anything in regards to that, but because we trust our people. You're like, they have such an advantage with people. Like, they have the one thing that most companies don't have, and they have people and relatability. Like, you want to, and given the choice, wouldn't you want to, instead of buying from Amazon, wouldn't you want to support someone's family by buying from them?
Yeah,
Maybe.
and someone you can actually have a conversation with in this day and age of talking to machines that want you to speak in full sentences because they can understand what you're saying, as opposed to a real live human being where you can actually communicate. You can either choose to communicate through the system, or I know in some cases some people will share their phone number and say, let's just get on the phone and talk this through. I would take that any day over an automated voice response system.
Right. Like, I'm on Amazon. I had a thing with Amazon where they just were not shipping my book for whatever reason. And they were telling me it was going to be here the next day, but there's no shipping.
Mm-hmm.
So I called them, first of all, you have to go through 5 minutes of, tell me your issue. Is this your issue? Did I understand correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to know your issue before you get to a customer service.
Yes.
I'm like, and they're like, but I need to know your issue. And if you don't tell them your issue, they just hang up on you. You have to do it again. And, that by the time I get to the lady that I'm talking to, she's she's from the Philippines, first of all. She's not even in this country that I'm talking to her. And one of the things I said, she goes, I don't understand. All I said was the yoga pants are really comfortable. I said, I love these yoga pants. They're really comfortable. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. I'm like, the pant, never mind. I'm like, I said it twice and she still didn't get it. So I was like, I was just trying to tell you they're great pants.
You were just calling to give feedback?
No, I was calling about the book, but while she's looking into it, she was like, oh. I love your name. You sound really young. Blah, 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 blah.
She said that?
Yeah, she said, I know you're not that young, but Carly's such a pretty name. And she's trying to be very personable and I guess give that kind of personable experience.
Yeah.
And I reciprocated and I said, yeah. I got the pants that were in the order and the pants are really comfortable if you like yoga pants. And she's like, what? What do you mean? Is there a problem with your pants? I said, no, I'm just trying to talk to you like a friend, because that's how you were talking to me. I didn't say that, but that's what I was saying. To Etsy, you actually get that. It's not somebody being trained to provide that type of friendship service.
Yeah.
And then once it's reciprocated, they're like, what?
Yeah. Yep. No. Now I get it. Yes, I agree.
And I was like, never mind. Where's my book? Forget it. Not where it's going into.
Yeah, I think this is a great conversation. I would say, I agree with what you've said, most especially that Etsy hopefully will hear that, one of the ways that they might encourage people to shop with confidence on Etsy is to highlight the things that make it a more human platform to deal with. than other places. That's always been what set it apart, and I think that needs to be capitalized on.
Yeah, and face the fears of the customer. Like, hear what the customer's fears are and face them right away, and very clearly, and gain that customer trust, because you're gaining a trust not only from the shop, but from Etsy as a platform. And that's what makes it so unique, and what makes it also, I'm sure, very difficult for Etsy to figure out their marketing strategies. And again, like I said, shout out to Josh. Call me. We can talk if you want. I have so many ideas about Etsy and marketing. And again, like the Facebook ads, they need to go there, and they need to take a top shop that has an item like a vase, let's say, like a shop that has really good social proof in regards to their reviews, and they have a lot of sales, and they need to run an ad that shows that vase to people who are interested in West Elm and all that data that we went over. Like, that would be very similar, and they need to target that. And then they need to take another thing, like you said, Katie Holmes, kids clothes. Okay, what kind of kids clothes? Are they like more like Gymboree? Okay, so let's look at Gymboree, and then what comes up from Gymboree on the page likes, and then let's do an ad campaign that targets those people with a picture of a shirt, or do a carousel ad of 10 different shops and 10 different shirts, shops that do have the social proof and the, a good amount of sales, even a couple hundred. And I'm not disregarding the shops that aren't there yet, but remember, in Etsy doing that to get the customer in the door, then they can put your shop in suggestions. Then they can start clicking through if maybe they didn't like that one, but they like the style, and now you have that style. So that's just, if Etsy brings in the customers for that shop, they're going to bring it in for yours and everybody else
too. Right. Carly, one of the things I want to make sure we touch on before we wrap up is you've had your products showcased in multiple news media outlets. How were you able to get your products featured? Because I know that's something a lot of sellers would desire, is to get media coverage.
I had a feeling you were going to ask this, so I was prepared. So that is something I don't think I can disclose that information because it is something that we are taught in Handmade Titan University.
Yes.
They teach you how to reach out to them and get that coverage. So yeah, that's something that's in HTU. Okay. But you can also go around and you can, single-handedly contact people that you think would be a good fit.
Actually, that's a nice plug for HTU right there.
Yeah, like I knew it. I was like, what do I do? She asks me that.
No, that's perfect. I'm glad you said that, because yes, I mean, the information in there is proprietary and people pay for, to have access to it. So it wouldn't be fair to divulge that information.
I think it's such a big part of it. And, one thing I was talking about today with somebody is Ellen DeGeneres is giving Etsy like the best coverage ever, because she does a segment of like Etsy finds. I guess she goes on there and she actually buys like really weird and crazy
way.
Yeah, you have to look it up. So it's a new thing, I think, that she started doing. And I'm like, how can I get my product to Ellen? I'm like, I will put a picture of Portia on whatever she wants and we'll send it to her. And I actually was trying to find out today, but I couldn't find anything. But apparently Ellen DeGeneres has been shopping on Etsy, and she started doing a segment about her finds on Etsy. So that is amazing.
That is so funny. Now, does she do like really like good, unique stuff, or is it more a humor section where she's finding just oddities and highlighting those?
I'm going to see in the images. I think from what I saw, there were some oddities. there was like a doll that was like on a plate or something. Ellen DeGeneres. You can look it up too. I'm trying to.
I'll look it up. If there are videos, I'll find a good one and link to it so folks can check that out. And I will have it in the show notes for this episode.
I got it. So she's tried breast milk flavored toothpicks.
Oh.
One of the things she found, there's a video on it. So just Google Ellen DeGeneres Etsy finds, and there's a whole thing, and it's called Let's See Etsy. It's her new segment, and she started this on September 7th.
Oh, wow.
So this is very new. So there is an extreme amount of possibility there. So if you make something really weird and you're shipping to California, maybe, just maybe,
maybe.
first assistant.
Now, I know, sometimes celebrities will buy as themselves, because I've talked to some other people on the podcast, other sellers who have sold to celebrities who have bought as themselves. And I think that's just so cool that that can happen. You know, if you sold on Amazon, well, it depends. If you sell Amazon handmade and you ship yourself, you could. But yeah, I guess eBay too.
Can you imagine if you get an order and says to Ellen DeGeneres or to Katie Holmes? Like, what would you do?
I know. Well, if it were to Ellen, I would first say, okay, what is crazy about this item that she would want to highlight on her show? Like, oh no. And I hope the shops get some props too during the segment.
You sell out of things, just like when just like when you get the feature from BuzzFeed. Like, I would love to be able to I tag them on Instagram all the time, and I'm just like waiting for the one special day where they'll turn around and be like, feature your product. I even have a girl from when I used to be in like the acting world. She works for BuzzFeed, and I'm always like, I so want to send you a message and be like, hey, do you have anything to do with, these like BuzzFeed articles of like fines? By any chance, have you seen my jewelry? Do you want something?
Yeah.
But I don't even think she works there anymore. But I always like, I'm like a total stalker trying to like figure out how to BuzzFeed, because I know those get you so much sales. Yeah,
I was going to say, you prepare for the onslaught. I mean, I've heard it's a short, quick burst, but it's a great burst, you know?
Yeah. It just keeps going like years later. Heard. It just is like there.
I'm curious, is Ellen's show on NBC?
I don't know.
Because I'm wondering if it is, or if it's on an NBC affiliate, if that was created as part of the whole, the other show they had, Making It, to promote Etsy, because Etsy was very involved in the whole Making It TV show. Yeah, so I wonder if it's all media blitz type. Okay, this is something, and if NBC Universal might be thinking of buying Etsy. My mind wanders. I'm not trying to put any rumors out there, but I think about these things sometimes.
No, that would make perfect sense. I'm trying to find it, but I can't even. I just am finding all sorts of other things. I don't know. That would be an interesting to think about.
I know. Yes,
maybe. It's so possible. I don't know.
It's possible. So much stuff goes on in the background, and you don't realize it was all part of a grander plan.
Right. And that would be really smart on their end as well.
Yep.
To do it that way. And I was just thinking about too, a really unique story that I sent to you, and this is kind of like random. But one thing that I was thinking about, what helps me and I didn't want to forget in my business, is after going through it for a while, is remembering also like why you want this. Like for me, it's the jewelry. It makes an impact on people's lives. And I told you this really unique story. Recently, about a month ago, I got a message from somebody that said like that her mother was passing away of cancer, and she wanted a bracelet for her, customized with all the pictures of all the, most important, meaningful people in her life to wear with her into the afterlife. And that was such a moment. I was like, oh my God, like this really means something to people. Like people wear these things on their wedding day and in into the afterlife and things like that. That's so like, it just, I don't know. It's amazing. And, it makes me remember why you do it. And even I give you the example of the coffee cup. If you make coffee mugs, right? I know my mom, she always had one coffee mug that she had to have her coffee in every morning. And my grandma has one as well. So why can't your coffee mug be that one thing that when they wake up in the morning, they see and it makes them happy?
Yeah.
So it's that one moment of solitude before the kids wake up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and Carly, I know a lot of people talk about the why, know your why. How would you explain to someone listening right now who has kind of become hyper focused on getting that sale? How would you encourage that person to maybe change their focus and their mindset and figure out what the why is?
I think to take a moment to get quiet, go sit for a little bit and think about what value your product brings to somebody's spirit and their soul. Like the coffee cup, it could be a shirt. Like maybe that's a shirt or a piece of jewelry that they are wearing on their first date, which is a memory they're going to remember forever because that's the person they end up marrying. And that's what they wore on that day. Or, I know you sell vintage. Maybe there's something you have that reminds that person of their grandmother forever because their grandmother had that same item growing up. And that's one way they remember that person. So every time they see it, they smile and they have that moment of joy. So what is that moment related to your item? Yeah.
I like that. And I'm actually glad you mentioned vintage sellers because sometimes, it just seems like, oh, okay, well, what would be the why for that? But a couple of days ago, I got a sale, and for the first time, someone said to me, after buying it, well, she emailed after she got the product that she bought, and she goes, I got these because I've been looking to replace the ones I had when I was a little girl. And I didn't know where I would find them. And all of a sudden I come to Etsy and I search for them. And I had 2 of exactly what she was looking to replace. And it was different for me because usually I just feel like, okay, people buy something to either gift them or display them. I never stop to think that somebody might be buying something from way back when because of a memory that they want to hold on to.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that Etsy can utilize as well. That's a huge market for them, which is the vintage market, which is not an easy market, not an available market. So they can even do something around that, an ad campaign, like the exact story you just said. Somebody that could be the ad. Somebody's as a little girl is playing with this item or something, and now they're an adult, and it breaks. Where are they going to go to find it? Yeah. Etsy, home of vintage sellers. Yeah. They find your precious items, or something like that. Yeah. And God, they could do so much with vintage and helping you guys out because, even like presents for your grandparents, finding a present for your grandparents is like the hardest thing on the planet. And I know you already started looking for Hanukkah on Etsy. And then you just made me realize just now, I asked my grandma recently, like over the past weekend, I went to see her. I said, what's your favorite era? Mm-hmm. She had the 50s and 60s. I'm like, now that we were just talking, you just made a light bulb go off my head. I'm like, I don't need to get her something with the Star of David on it. I can get her something from the 50s and 60s that she'll see like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Man,
even,
I hope Josh Silverman is listening.
Please call me, dude. I want to help you. I want to bring value to the marketing of Etsy. For free if you want. I don't care. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I love Etsy. I want to help you grow it.
Yeah. Now, Carly, do you have an Etsy shop shout out? This would be perhaps another seller that has helped you along the way, or whose products you like, or a shop that you particularly enjoy. What's the word? You particularly enjoy supporting or buying from?
Yes, I'm actually was talking to her right before this. There's 2 people. So the first one I want to shout out is Sheer Joy Sense. and she makes candles. So I was following her on Instagram because she's a bestie and,
Oh,
just following her along. And I just have seen her journey grow and it's been really fun to watch. And then she launched her product line and I was like, listen, I'm the type of person who I will never buy a candle online because I have to smell it first. But I'm
yeah.
also a person who loves a really good smelling home. Like
Yes.
I love candles. I'm obsessed with them.
Me
So
too, actually.
my God, like amazing. So I'm like, you know what? She really worked hard. I want to get a candle from her. Let me go with toasted marshmallow because I think that's a safe bet. Vanilla is, can't really screw that up. So I got it and I was like, oh my God, this is the best candle ever. And I'm not going to give away what the story is, but she sends a typed out note of what her backstory is. And
Oh.
it's so touching and so amazing. It just makes her like 10 times even more amazing than I already thought she was.
Oh.
Um, and she sent me a sample of maple pumpkin. So next day I bought maple pumpkin and grandpa's pipe. And then this week I bought something for my boss because she's having a rough week. And I already have a list going of all the candles I'll be getting. And I got myself an apple harvest candle because I finally got that bestseller badge for my cufflinks. And I've been waiting for it because I knew it because I sell so many of them. I was like, where's my badge? And I got it. And I was like, oh my God, I need a candle. so, so I went and got myself one. And
Nice.
the other one, her name, I don't want to screw it up, so I'm just looking at it on Instagram.
Okay. And I'm
Also,
glad you said that because I love candles too, but I've always thought I have to smell them before I buy them. I can't go on descriptions, but it's good to know.
yeah, but hers, I will say yes, go for it.
Mm,
And she
okay.
has like some little codes around her shop for, shipping and different things, so it makes it very easy to buy.
Okay.
And the other one is Jonara Blue Maui, and it's JONARABLUMAUI, so blue without an E.
Okay.
She makes such gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous sea glass jewelry from
Ooh.
Hawaii, and
Ooh.
I finally bought one. I was like, yeah, I kind of want this. It's my brand colors. Oh my God, I have to have it. So I got it. And when I opened it, I'm like, this is the most beautiful bracelet I've ever seen in my life. I was like, I need more of these. And I do. I have her on my Christmas list too of people I'm gonna give these things to. But you see, that's how it works. Like I'm already with Joy. I've already purchased 4 things in the past month. I have a problem. I love her candles so much.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I will link to both stores,
Yeah.
Share Joy Scents and Jonara Blue Maui Jewelry.
Yeah,
So folks can go check them out. What was that?
yeah, I'll send you a link to them too. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll send
Okay.
it to
Yeah.
you.
And when you go check them out, let them know that Carly sent you.
Yeah, I love them.
Now,
Um,
Carly, what's the best way folks can get in touch with you if they want to connect?
well, I have an email which is pendantplaceservice@gmail.com. You can go to my Etsy shop, pendantplace.com. I am on Facebook at Pendant Place Store. I am on Instagram at Pendant Place Store. I am on Twitter at Pendant Place and Pinterest Pendant Place Store and YouTube at Pendant Place Store.
You're on
So
YouTube too?
I am very much considering starting to have a channel that I talk
Nice.
about Etsy. So far I put 2 videos up about, my shop, just advertising videos. And I did shoot one video where I gave out some resources and I just wasn't excited yet, so I deleted it. But
Oh,
I might do that. I just bought a new lipstick, so we'll see. Maybe I'll do it over the weekend because video, as you know, is just like a little bit harder.
yeah.
Just a little bit harder because I like I said, I used to be in acting. And that's one of the reasons I also started doing the jewelry because I wanted something that would allow me to go on auditions and stuff.
Mm.
But like one of the big reasons I don't do it anymore, aside from not wanting to be in that industry after having dabbled in it, it's awful, is because the camera. It makes me so nervous.
Oh, really?
It does. It's the camera. It's
Well,
just
you
like,
can't be an actress if you're afraid of the camera.
which is why I'm not anymore.
Oh.
I would do so well. Not to toot my own horn, but I would do really well in the classroom and so awful in the audition room. I'd be like, hi.
Oh, no.
I'm like, there's a camera that's on and it's pointing at me. Oh my God.
Was there ever the option to send in videos of video auditions so you didn't have to do them live, or no, that's not how it works?
Yes, and I would take like 1,000 takes because I would always fumble because I would get so nervous. But I'm thinking, I have already made the very clear decision that that's not, it's not what I'm doing now. And that when that stuff happened where we had to, all part ways, and go out on our own, I had to think about it. I had to be like, okay, what do I want? I have my associate's degree. Do I want to go back to school or, and get myself into a ridiculous amount of debt or what do I want? And I said, these things make an impact, these things, these beautiful gifts make an impact. And I love making them. I love talking to my customers. I love the feedback. And I'm addicted to it. And I'm addicted to business, as you can tell from this podcast, and marketing and growing a business. So that's where I want my focus to be. And I want my business to be able to supplement an income. Because right now I work like 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, dog walking and babysitting. And that's why, although I have all this knowledge, not all of it has obviously been implemented as much as it really could if I was fully focused, or even if one of them I could get rid of, or not get rid of, but replace. It would be really great because, sky's the limit but it gives me all this time to sit there and research all these things and get prepared for that and keep implementing different actions to be able to get there. Because that's my goal. My goal is to be able to have the option to work for somebody else, but not the necessity.
Right. Not have to do it, but if you want to.
Yeah, because I love my business and I love business. And I so wish I was working in a corporate place, but unfortunately, and there are times now, I can apply until I'm blue in the face, but having an associate's degree just does not hold weight in the corporate field as much as a bachelor's degree and 1,000 internships. Yeah. I keep trying. I would love to do it, but this is where I'm at right now. And the best thing for me is to keep applying, I guess, and to really focus on implementing these things so I can get to a place where I can potentially go back to school and get that bachelor's, maybe get that corporate job and also have my business and grow, or maybe just have my business and grow it, Yeah. And I love my business. And I love business. And I love Etsy. And I think it's just such a unique business. There's nothing else like it. And there's so much that can be done to grow it. Not just my shop, but the whole platform as a whole, Yeah. The whole platform as a whole.
Carly, it sounds like your story is, I don't want to say it's at the beginning, but definitely is not anywhere near the end. And I feel like in a few months from now, it will be different. In a year from now, it will be completely different. And I think that means we have to talk again, because I just think with all what you're learning and all what you're doing, especially with how you're leveraging social media and Facebook ads, a platform that most of us run away from as far as ads go, that it's going to do such different things for you that I would love to see or hear about the outcomes from all what you're trying and all what you're working on right now. So I would love to have you back on the podcast sometime down the road so we can catch up and see what worked, what didn't work, what you recommend, in a few months or a year's time from now. and see how we can learn from your experience.
Oh, I'd love to do that. I would so love to do that. And I will definitely try and get on YouTube. I'm going to try it again this weekend. Maybe I'll put something up. And again, I understand that the Facebook may have been a little choppy. I don't know, because I was like very in the zone. But if it was, and it was very confusing for you, just please message me, and I'd be happy to send you a little, I send you my notes and a little like clear down, because it is very clear. And I'll also send it to you, Gemma, so you have it for everybody. And if you have any questions while you're trying Facebook ads, just, I'm very easy to contact, and I answer people literally within like 20 minutes every time. Which I'd love to see on Etsy, like how Messenger on a business account on Facebook, they say to you, they say that this business usually responds in,
yes,
this amount. That would be so beneficial to Etsy if they had that. When do you?
Yes.
When? Like how long to this person responds? And I think that would help like so much. That's another one of my ideas.
Yes, that's so true, because I see that too. And whenever I get a message, and I almost start to panic, not in a bad way, but like, okay, I need to respond quickly, because I know Facebook is timing me, and they're showing people how quickly I respond. And usually it's a comment or something, which, I'll respond back, but then it improves my response time, because then it tells them, oh, this account or this, I forget how it says it, but usually responds in, within 2 hours or within an hour. And I'm like, why, yes, I do.
Yes, exactly. And it's like you can trust me to answer you.
Yes.
And you don't have to send me a message on Etsy and then wait and shop around and then see.
Yeah.
And like maybe they shop around and they decide, okay, that is what I really want, but I just want to ask this one little question.
Yeah.
But I have to come back on like before I go to bed, because I don't know if they're ever going to answer me today.
Or it's going to take 24 to 48 hours, as opposed to, oh, this person usually responds within 2 hours. I'm like, oh, okay, let me start talking. Let's get this ball rolling. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to. Like I that's my big thing I said on Marmalade too, from my experience shopping from so many different shops on around the around the holidays last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing. Like, I'm like, answer me. I know you're busy and you're a single-handed person, but you have to answer me. Like, I need to know so I can make my purchases. Because also, if they're sitting there and they're shopping for something, and they're already taking the action to get the thing they want, so most likely they want to buy it, and they don't want to have to come back later and buy it.
Yeah.
Because they might think about, is that shipping too expensive? Is that price, too much for me? Should I look for something else? No, you want to be like, hi, I'm here. What do you want? Thanks.
Yeah.
Got you. No problem.
Carly,
and,
I'm sorry. I was going to say, tell us again what your YouTube channel is. I just want to make sure.
It says Carly Pendant Place Store.
Okay.
I think that's what my channel is. Yes, Carly, and then it says Pendant Place Store.
Okay. All right. So I will link to that as well. But I know as folks are listening, they might like to just jump right in there. So Carly Pendant Place Store.
Yeah. By the time this podcast is on, I might have gotten past my camera fear and have put some videos up there.
Yeah. Now, why YouTube as opposed to, say, Instagram videos?
YouTube is, I think, easier to access and easier to, I think it's easier. Here's the thing. When a major platform releases something new, you can jump on the bandwagon right away, but there's no guarantee that that's going to fade out or it's going to hit. Mm-hmm. So it's better to go with something that's already hitting than something that's might fizzle out, and then you're going to lose all your content. Yeah. If that makes sense? Like,
it does make sense.
Like what happened with Snapchat. Of course, Snapchat, they were doing great. They're like the best thing ever. And then out of nowhere, Instagram releases stories. Yeah. And then they dip down, and now they're coming back up, and, they're floating. But we don't know if IGTV is going to work yet. Nobody knows. It's starting to really pick up, which I've seen, because sometimes I'm clicking through and I'm like, wait, how did I get here? What is this? You know? And I'm like, I don't want to see this right now. But and I get confused. I'm like, is this a story? Is this a video? It's a little confusing for me.
I think there's still some confusion around it. I started to do IGTV just because to me it was easier because I could just do it on my phone and then upload. And I felt like with YouTube I had to do a bit more production, and that was always a way I could talk myself out of it, was like, oh, well, I have to set things up. I don't really have to set anything up, but still.
Right,
Anyway.
and it's saturated. It's completely saturated. And with IGTV, when you jump on the bandwagon early, you're going to be one of the first ones to get there. So by the time everybody else gets there, that's also something that's a benefit, is you're already getting things pushed your way, whereas now all these people are saturating and trying to get to where you are because you were there first.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
but
maybe
we'll
after
see.
I can get on there.
Yeah. Carly, thank you so much for spending this much time talking with me. I'm so glad that we had this time to spend together and that we're going to talk again in the future. I honestly cannot wait to hear just how things work out for you. I'm kind of excited that you're trying all these things, because then you can come back and tell us what worked and what didn't and what we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, so maybe Josh will hear this and actually call me and I can help grow Etsy for free. Free of charge.
Well, I hope so, for your sake and mine. I think I'd pass out if I knew he was listening. But I mean, I do hope so, because you have such great ideas, and I wish there was a way to get them, to at least the people who can make something happen with your ideas.
Yeah, like Sally in the vase.
Yeah, like Sally. Oh, Sally's done overtime today.
Yeah, Sally's everywhere.
Sally's everywhere.
Sally's trying to find something unique and she doesn't know where to go because she hasn't seen a video about it.
Yeah, Sally's going to take a lunch break now.
Yes, Sally's done for the day.
But thanks again, Carly. I do appreciate you being on the podcast.
Oh, I had so much fun. It was great. I love Etsy. I think Etsy is doing big things, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I am too, and I do too. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. I will be back next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.